My father-in-law and mother-in-law are in town for the last couple of nights, and one thing that I am really motivated by my father-in-law is, number one, he is a humble, frugal man. Um, his dad taught him that. It said his dad was very, very frugal, and his dad said that you don't buy anything unless you save up for it, and once you save up for it, you don't buy it anyways because you don't really want it at that point. I like that. That's really, really good. Um, I'm going to talk about interest today. I find it fascinating. I find interest fascinating because interest, it can be your worst enemy. It can be your worst nightmare. I've been in situations and in positions where interest was my worst enemy. It was my worst nightmare. Remember, I was like 22 years old. I was sitting in a bankruptcy attorney's office because I had about 4 credit cards, all maxed out, getting late charges every single month. I couldn't afford the minimums, and I was drowning. And at that point, interest was my worst enemy. I hated interest. And most people live their life like that. Most people buy things on interest. They don't do what my father-in-law's dad taught them to do or told him to do. They buy things on credit. They buy things on interest. They buy depreciating assets that they shouldn't be buying. They buy a more luxurious home that they shouldn't be living in. They buy a more luxurious car to impress people and to get approval from other people that they shouldn't be driving. They should pay cash for some of these things. And right, just think about interest. Like you're paying this invisible thing. It's such a waste when interest is your worst enemy. And it can be. When those debt collectors come after you, it's not pretty. And interest can be your worst enemy. Flip that around. Interest can also be your best friend. Think about banks. Banks know how interest works, right? They do. Why do you think some of them are so successful? They know how this game works. They're literally charging money in interest. And I've learned that game. When I was, again, in my 20s, I started to study interest and compound interest and how interest can work for you. And I said, if I could just get to $1.8 million, I don't know why I picked that number, but I was like, if I could get to $1.8 million and I made 10% interest on that per year, I think I would just be set because I don't need that much to live off of. But that's a lot of money, $180,000 a year just off of interest. I could do that just by having $1.8 million. And throughout the real estate game, I've learned that I've had the interest now work for me. And when interest works for you, it's an amazing thing. Because all your little dollars are little workers out there, and they're working for you, and they're earning 5%, 6%, 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever it is. And so what do I do now? I sell properties with seller financing. I make interest. I got money coming in that people are paying credit for these houses, and I'm the one making the interest rather than paying it out. I've done lending money, making interest, right? And I've done a lot of different things with interest. I have IRAs set up, tax-free Roth IRAs that I lend money out of, and I make interest on that. So think about that. Interest can be your worst nightmare, your worst enemy when those debt collectors are knocking on your door and you might be sitting in a bankruptcy office because you decided to put a bunch of meals on your credit card that you ate it, you have nothing to show for it, and here you are owing a bunch of debt for that meal. Just stupid. Or it can be your best friend. Use it as your best friend. Bring it in close and use it to your advantage rather than your disadvantage. Hope you guys enjoy this today. Brett Snodgrass, Freedom Friday. When interest is your best friend, that is how you build freedom. See you guys.